Hi there, I'm Mark Schlossberg, and along with my colleague Danny Pimentel at the University of Oregon, we've been playing around with creating augmented reality for streets. This is a little bit of a how-to, quick and dirty. First, measure the width of your street, and you can do that in Google with a street view or aerial photo and measure the width of a street. Very easy, get it close enough. And then you can go into Street Mix, a free tool that's online, to allocate that width of the street in the way that you might want, simply by dragging and dropping different street elements and making your street width or your element width the way that you want it. And you piece all those things together. In this case, I'm turning a residential street into a park, basically, with no cars and just places for people to hang out. Once you get it all sorted, you can view that Street Mix scene in 3D Street, a nice little plugin by 3D Street. And then you can look at your environment in a 3D scene and explore around and notice that each element here you can manipulate a little bit. To prepare for augmented reality then, you would want to turn off some of the extra layers, so maybe the buildings or some other things, won't go into the weeds. And then you can export it directly from 3D Street into a street file that works in an augmented reality area. If you want to mess around a little bit more, you can open up a free software called Blender where you can manipulate things in 3D, but this is totally optional. And then you can bring the 3D file directly into augmented reality software. In this case, I'm using Adobe Aero, which is part of a site license that I have access to at the university. You can add things to it, you can add animation, you can make things move, but again, totally unnecessary. If you just want to do a quick and dirty from Street Mix into an augmented reality scene, you can do that, but of course, like all software, you can get a little fancy. And then you can take this augmented reality scene, at least in Adobe Aero, and you can connect it to an actual point on the Earth, which is really convenient, but not necessary, because otherwise you can just take your scene and apply it to any street you want rather than this specific street that you're placing it with the Google geospatial engine. But here's my 3D mix scene, 3D street and street mix scene on the street, and then you just create a link from Adobe Aero, and that link is universally shareable with anybody. So anybody could then open up that link on their phone or tablet, go out to the actual street in question and click the link, and voila, your street is transformed into your scene that you can actually walk through and see what it would look like on your street. And you can go forward, backward, see all the different things that you've done, and really start to reimagine, well, what would the street look like if it wasn't a street as has been, but is actually a park, a place for people in this particular example. So that's a really quick how-to with some mostly free tools and a really quick process to create an augmented reality redesigned street. Thanks for listening.